And we are live. We are live. We are live. Welcome back. Welcome back to the show. Welcome back. Welcome back. So tonight we are talking that ish with Tish. Yes, 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 yes. And I have two guests on the panel tonight. I have Mr. Flex and Miss Sam on the panel
What's
with
up?
us
What's good?
tonight. So
Good evening.
say hi to everybody. We got three people in the chat so far. We're gonna wait a few minutes before we get started to let a few more people come in. And let you guys know exactly what we're going to be talking about tonight. We got two interesting topics that we're going to be talking about tonight. And the first topic that we're going to be talking about is, and I love this topic. This is actually a topic that Flex had brought to my attention a few years ago, actually. And ever since he brought this topic to my attention, I was like, that's pretty interesting. So the topic is marriage licenses should have an expiration date. Mm. So is that a statement, Mr. Flex, or a question?
It's an inquiry. I actually first time I thought about that was in college.
Hmm.
This is in the early or late '90s, I should say. So
Okay.
I thought,
It would be good for open discussion with some
yeah,
intelligent, open-minded people.
yeah, just to, just
Yeah.
kick it,
Hmm.
have a little
Okay.
fun with it. It's just a concept based on how things are modern, modern relationship these days. It's just a
Right.
concept that most
Okay.
people won't want to entertain, of course, but
Right.
why not?
So
Well,
I,
that
I have
that's
a
the first
question to
topic.
that, Flex.
Let me
Okay,
say
go
So
what
ahead.
let me before you go, Sam. Hold on one second.
She ready to
So the
go.
second, yeah, she ready. So that's the first topic, and the second topic is without experience, do you qualify? And what we mean by that is I know the first thing that comes to people's mind is a job, you know, without experience on in a certain field or something like that. Do you qualify for the job? But no, that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about tonight is without experience in terms of a relationship. If you haven't been in a long-term relationship or marriage, we're talking about marriage specifically. If you haven't been married for X amount of time, years or whatever, you haven't put that, you know, those blissful years behind you, do you qualify to give advice to couples who have less marriage time in their relationship? So that's what that topic is going to be about. So I'm excited to talk about this with my two panelists. I'm excited to hear their points of views, and we just going to have an adult conversation. I think that we're all three open-minded people that can have an adult conversation to where we're not going to chop each other's heads off and things like that. And we all understand that we all have an opinion,
Let me go
and
sharpen my
opinion
knife real quick.
and opinions is just that, an opinion. It's not facts. So let's go ahead and get into it. Sam, what you wanted to say?
I actually just want to ask Flex the question. So should marriage license have an expiration? W- when you put that out there, what happens when it expires? Are you divorced? Are you no longer married? Like, how does that work?
I mean, conceptual wise, the same thing with anything else you have. When you have your registration, what do? You have a grace period before you go and do what?
Renew
Register
it.
again.
Renew it. Pay a fee. You fill in some
So if it's
information.
not renewed, then what?
Oh yeah, it's
The
then you
marriage
have
is
to go
over.
down. Yeah, then you have to go down that route. But then you have to actually have certain criterias for you to keep moving on to the next level, right? So if things have changed between the time you first started, let's say you apply for like a let's say you apply for like a 5 year license or a 10 year license, something like that, right? After that, 4.5, whatever time period, you have to go in and put in for your renewal. and they have to ask you a certain amount of questions in terms of your financial status, the emotional status, mental status, whatever. And from there, you can make an assessment if you want to continue or if you want to, renegotiate, something like that. That's just the concept.
Can I say how I feel about it?
Sure.
I think it's a wonderful idea. I think
Why?
I think it's a wonderful idea because after a certain amount of time in marriages, people change, situations change, um, things just change. And I think that, let's say it was a situation where um, a marriage license expires in 5 years, and at that 5 minute mark, you two can then come to the table, like you said, a series of questions,
Mhm.
and you can make a decision like, do I want to stay here or do I want to go? Do I want to renew this license and stay with you or go? And also I think that it's good too because it'll keep the two parties involved, like keep them on their toes, so to speak. It's like, when we come to this table to renew this marriage license, like, okay, this is it. Like, am I going to step up my game and be a better partner in this marriage?
Mhm.
Or am I going to stay the way I am and just say, fuck it, I ain't renewing shit,
Right.
you know?
So
Mika asked a
Tamika
really,
had a
really good
question.
question.
Right.
She said, suppose one wants to renew and the other doesn't.
Ooh.
That's the you have a set amount of time to negotiate. You might want to find out what's the reasoning behind that person not wanting to renew. They may have legitimate reasons. They may have legitimate financial reasons, whatever their needs are for that time period or at that time period. But it has to be a conversation. It has to be something where you actually sit down with someone who is qualified to have that conversation.
Well,
Uh, Here's my question too.
Okay.
So in that situation where, the parties decide that they don't want to renew, do you think it will be more of a hassle as far as everything that was built into that marriage, like, finances, your home, your happens in that aspect if I don't want to renew no more? Now you have to go through the whole process of divorce and it it's no, I don't agree with that concept. I mean the idea is
Well,
good. I don't think
the
it's
whole
like
the whole thing is the whole thing is this. Here's why I bring up the concept. Think about it in this sense. Right now in 2021, if you go try to rent an apartment, buy a house, lease some space for a business, buy a business, what's the thing you have to do the most right now?
say that again. That last
yeah,
part
say
I
that
missed.
again.
What's the thing you have to do the most to do any of those things?
You just said
So
buy
when
a house, rent an
Buy a
apartment, and what
house,
else?
rent an apartment. Yeah, you have to go through a bunch of what paperwork, right?
Paperwork. But
paperwork, yeah, manage great credit,
Right.
I mean,
You
employment,
have to Yes, you have to what? You have to
you
qualify.
have to qualify, yeah.
Thank you. You can't just say I wanna buy this building and that's just, well, you ain't got no good. You got 300 credit or whatever 400 credit score. You got no money, so you don't qualify. So a lot of the paperwork and a lot of that stuff you're talking about is being done in the beginning, not at the end of the divorce.
well, this is the way I
Correct.
see it.
Okay, go ahead.
The way I see it is, once there's an expiration date on the marriage license, that voids the marriage anyway. Like, there's no divorce needed because once the license expires, it's over. And
So
then to piggyback off or answer what you were saying earlier, Sam, when you said, what if one person wants to renew it and the other one doesn't? That's the same. That'll be the same situation, in my opinion, as when people are in a regular relationship and one want to continue it and the other one doesn't. If one person doesn't want to continue, then the other person that wants to continue, they just have to deal with it and heal and move on the best way that they can.
But
so
My main point is most of that stuff is negotiated in the beginning, not at the end. Most of that stuff is discussed in the beginning. Anybody can get a license right now. Anybody can get a marriage license right now. It's probably the easiest license to get.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a
Driver's license, everything else is just takes a
you gotta
lot of
take a
paper, a
test.
lot of red. Yeah, you gotta take tests. It's a lot of that's like the biggest decision of your life. More so than buying a house, more so than buying a car, sometimes even more so than bringing kids into this world.
Okay, so to go off of what y'all were saying, once
Mhm.
that license, the license has an expiration date, it expires. Now, you and this person have a house together, y'all have kids together, y'all may have businesses together. How do
Mhm.
you just void that out?
It's not voided. It's something that's discussed. That's what I'm saying. Is the emphasis is on having this kind of negotiation and discussion beforehand. So when it comes to that point, and it could be something as natural as death, or somebody gets sick or whatever. You have you already have written down what's the step to take for that procedure.
So you're saying to establish that prior to the marriage in an event that when this expiration comes up, this is what's going to happen with these
Thank you.
items.
Yes,
Almost
Is
like a
that what you're
prenup.
saying?
That sound like a prenup.
it sounds just like it.
That's,
It might
yeah.
be its first cousin
Mm.
once removed, but
So
it's
that
it's very
goes, I
close.
mean, do you go into a marriage with the expectation that it's not going to work?
Absolutely not. You don't go into it like that, but I mean,
Um,
nobody goes
okay,
into a marriage thinking that it's
no,
not going to work.
no, but also,
But
also
when some
though,
shit happens,
also, I don't think people actually go into it with a lot of realistic mindsets about what it entails and what it takes to actually keep that afloat.
hmm
And they do or
My,
don't.
my whole thing is this. My whole thing is this. You can go on Zillow right now. You can go on Zillow right now and look for a house, right? It looks great on the inside. You see all the pictures. It looks good, and you're like, I want that. I'm buying it. You go and you press something to go pay for it. You haven't done an inspection. You haven't really done any of the grunt work to see if that's something you really want to invest in. That's my point. You have to.
I think
There's
that-
no initial like investment.
oh god,
You got a lot of
how,
feedback.
hold
how
on,
do
y'all.
you go into it that way though? Um, here Here for the T says, I feel like going into marriage looking for expiration dates and such may have bad intentions.
I'm
Mhm.
sorry, y'all. Hold
That
on.
from me? Who's that from?
Chris says, I think the benefits of women, I think benefits, I think this benefits women the most because men naturally stays for the same. Are we married for love? For better, for worse things, nothing than marriage means just how you feel as long as you're happy.
I don't agree with that.
Um,
I don't agree with
I
that.
think how do women benefit most, Chris? If you could elaborate more on that part.
So we're not. So to answer the T, um, going into it's not you going into it looking for an expiration date. You're going into it. You're actually going to choose when. Okay, I put it to you like this. Maybe the wording or the what we're using, the adjectives is throwing you off. After a while, you have to like go to like a counselor. Even like before you get married, sometimes you go to a counselor, either it be your pastor or somebody like that, and they advise you about what to expect. You know, as a newlywed couple and things like that. You can't have those same kind of expectations 5 years or 10 years down the line. So this is not just you and you and your spouse. This is you and your spouse and a negotiator that's helping you guys to say, okay, 5 years in, this is what you can expect maybe 10 years from now. Here's what you can, here's some things you can go and renegotiate and look at differently. it's just a concept, because like I said, some people don't understand that, richer for poor, sickness and in health until it hit them. You don't really go into the marriage sick. People go in there happy and healthy and blissful.
Yeah.
They don't really understand that, hey, you might end up having to change your spouse's diaper for a time, depending on what happens. You know, things like that. Those are real life situations. You don't think about that when you go and get married. You think that, hey, I might have to end up, uh,
I think
you
that
know,
goes back to
mhm.
why you getting married. What's your reasoning? Are you marrying for finance? Are you marrying for stability? Are you marrying for love? Because there's a lot of people who don't even marry for love.
Which is not a bad thing.
Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you now.
I don't know what's happening with my. Hold on.
All right, let's see what we got here. While Tish is working that out, let's see. Uh, Womack Clarissa 7. Sam, that's why counseling is suggested before and during marriage. That's correct. The T says, yeah. How
Suggested,
do
but
women
not
benefit
required.
most? What's that?
I mean, I agree with Womack Clarissa 7.
Hmm.
It is suggested before and during marriage, but it's not required. It's not a
It
requirement. And there's
it should
people
be
who don't.
it
It
should be
should be. I
required.
agree. It definitely
It
should
should
be.
be
But I
required.
know there's people who just don't feel comfortable with therapy, especially like in the Black and Caribbean community. They
Hmm.
don't really believe in therapists, and I can't speak for all, but I just know, mental issues is not taken as serious, in my opinion,
This is
in
true.
our community.
And this is why I say that, man, I believe that it should be mandatory. Listen, here's how I look at it. Here's how I look at it. It is literally one of the biggest decisions you'll ever make.
I
Okay?
can't say that again, Flex.
I said it is literally one of the biggest decisions you would ever make. Okay? It can affect everything about your whole being.
Are
So
you referring to marriage or the counseling?
yes, yes, the marriage.
The marriage, okay.
Okay. And everything else underneath that falls under, you know, big life decisions, buying a home, all that kind of stuff. You have somebody, a lawyer, or somebody that assists you with all the steps that you have to go through. Why are we taking this biggest step so lightly and not having mandatory help? You don't go into a house and inspect the foundation by yourself, and you know nothing about it. You know nothing about it. What do you know about foundation work? What do you know about roofing and all that stuff? You have people come in and inspect that for you. That's my point. So
Okay,
if
wait,
you
hold on.
have
I'm
this
trying to
kind of,
keep
if
up
you,
with all the comments. I'm listening to you, Flex.
yeah,
I'm
I
doing two
can't
things.
read them sometimes, but
Because Chris did, because I mean, me as well as here for the T answered the question. Asked the same question: how does women benefit the most? And Chris responded and said the investment is your wife. We're going into investment is the wife. Women don't ask men to get married. Men ask women to get married. Investment is that it will work and stay together. The T says I agree. You should have goals. But things happen unexpected. That the expiration thing is kind of far fetched. She feels like it. He or she. I'm not sure if he's a male or female. The T. I'm assuming a female, but
okay.
that person feels like it's kind of far fetched to have an expiration. Um, Tamika asks, so we're going into marriage as a business partner, and I just got kicked out. And I think that goes back to what we stated originally. You have to at least before even going into marriage, in my opinion, what is your reason for marriage? I've met somebody who married just for financial stability. She wanted to be taken care of. That was her goal. She didn't care about loving her husband or anything of that nature. I know somebody who went into marriage because they were so in love with that person. So like that question that you asked, Tamika, people do go into marriage for that partnership, that business partnership, because I, I mean, yeah, we're all having technical
Let's be clear.
difficulties.
Let's be clear. If there's a financial aspect to it, then there is some kind of business aspect to it also. How
You
do you
said
know
if
that
there,
for
say
sure?
it again, Flex.
No, I
You going
said,
low
oh, you can hear me now?
a little bit better.
Okay. Let me turn up the mic. Hold on a second. I'm responding to what Tamika said about, so we're going into this marriage as business partners, not as a relationship. Not per se, but you have to include that as part of it. Okay. Being able to manage your finances as a couple, if you want to start a business, it's all incorporated into it. You're not just going to be sustaining your marriage on love. That's not realistic. You have to have some kind of financial sense to also help sustain. A lot of divorces are based on financial issues, not necessarily uh, love and infidelity sometimes. So you do have to have a business sense when you go into it. Now, I know you keep referring to the whole expiration thing, but like I said, your I think your license expires after a certain time. That doesn't mean you're never going to drive anymore. You just have to go renew it if that's what you want to do. If you're 90 years old and you don't have no reason to be driving anymore, your eyes is bad, and you can barely see, maybe you shouldn't have a license anymore. A driver's license, I should say. But you can go renew your license. You can go renew your registration. You can do all these things. You can go renew your lease. It's not it's not something that's so far fetched when you think about it in that sense. It's something that you want and you want to continue doing it under this particular circumstance. Is that not what it is? In a nutshell? If let's say the first 5 years is all bliss, then the next 5 years is all rubbish. It's all rubbish. And you come to that negotiation point. Are you gonna are you gonna say, well, I'm gonna stay here? I mean, you have to decide, you have to make a decision. And you have to really pinpoint, why is it rubbish? What is it based on? Is it based on finance? Is it based on disrespect? What is it based on? And how can we get past it? You have a negotiator there, not a negotiator. What's the word I'm looking for? You have a mediator, probably a better word. You have a mediator there to help you out to kind of go through what's benefits and what benefits one or the other. Things of that nature. Just a concept.
Okay. Um, I think though the just the idea and just hearing expiration date on a marriage license, I think that's what it is kind of throwing people off or throwing me off per se, because I don't I guess I'm trying to understand the difference of just two people being married and then decided to go through a divorce versus this whole putting a actual expiration date on a marriage license, because like you said, oh, you knew it. Why go through all that headache and go through all that trouble if I know I'm going to stay with you? If I don't want to stay with you or if I want to leave, then we go through the counseling or the divorce. Why is the expiration date necessary?
Well, like I said, most of that is done up front. That's the benefit.
So what's the
Uh,
difference between that and a prenup?
No, I said you can use whatever terminology you want. That's the point.
Gotcha.
It's how you what adjective you want to use it as. Some people find that word offensive, right? Some people find that word offensive, and it might benefit them also. It's basically just an agreement,
Okay.
and that's something that people do on a daily basis.
Okay. Um,
So that's what I'm saying. Maybe that I think the terminology is what's throwing it off, but when you actually the content of it is what I'm referring to. You might want to move your mic, maybe so move your mic away from your speakers. Maybe that's what's causing it. All right, Tamika says, not business partners per se, just the concept that we both know this is not for love, but to build. Mm, uh, I don't.
Everything is such a white chocolate. I mean, when you say the paper, Chris, are you referring to the actual the marriage license? Um, and that's not necessarily true. I don't see. I mean, I maybe I don't know, but even referring back to your other statement, when a woman divorces a man, depending on what that man has, she will leave with the children. She will leave with some sort of support. Everything falls on the man. That's a fact. Not all the time. I've heard situations and seen situations where a woman and a man would get a divorce and she doesn't necessarily win in the divorce. I'm assuming that's what you're saying. Like the woman always wins when it comes to the divorce. Um, I don't know. Nowadays, I think times has changed. I've met single dad with full custody of their children, um, by choice. I've met where I've heard, I've never met somebody, but I've heard where a woman will pay
Can y'all
alimony
hear
to a
me?
man.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Mm-mm-mm.
Times have changed.
I can't
Let's
even
see.
say nothing.
The paper doesn't make any sense because a woman can divorce you and take half of everything, or she can wait 5 years with this paper that's the cousin of a prenup and leave after 5 years. Okay, you're bringing a concept of how marriage is now, and that's not what I'm talking about. You can negotiate all that up front. The same way when you're buying a home, you can negotiate certain things with the seller up front and not wait till after the purchase. This is my point. It benefits you because it benefits both parties because all that
This is unbelievable.
negotiation is happening up front instead of at the back end when you're both emotionally scarred and you know you're it's fueled by anger and frustration or whatever. This is my point, Chris. That and
I could,
also let me stress this point the most. Why this is beneficial is you also need to really decide if that's what you want to go through. If you start doing your paperwork up front and you'll find out this person maybe has whatever felonies, bad credit, uh, whatever, kleptomaniac, who knows? Things come up, right? This is outside of the whole love phase. You might want to reevaluate if that's the person you want to spend the next 5, 10 years with, let alone 20, 30, 40, 60 years.
you could find that out, dating. Like you can find, I don't need to have anything on paper. I mean, I'm just speaking from my personal experience. I don't have to have anything on paper to know everything that you just said. Like I've dated somebody who was a felon, but it's just simple as dating and getting to know the person and asking questions and just in hopes that that person is honest with me. Now,
Hope,
I
hope,
even like going
hope
into what
alive.
Tamika is
Real
saying,
quick, can y'all hear me
you're a little bit low.
now? I'm a little bit low.
Oh,
Okay.
no, no, stop. You just was perfect.
How's this?
Better.
Okay. I'm
Yep,
There you
sorry,
better.
go.
y'all. The problem was I was on the stream multiple times. So I had to turn off other devices. I don't know what happened. I was on the screen like more than once. So that's why I was echoing. So I apologize for that. But y'all kept it going good. But go ahead, I'm listening.
Now, Tamika, let me ask you a question because you said that you believe that the expiration date will give you a false sense of commitment. Do you feel the same way about a prenup? Because it's pretty much, from what I'm getting from what Flex is saying, it's pretty much the same thing. And even Chris agrees. He's pretty much saying it's the cousin of a prenup.
Can I say this? This is my thoughts on it. The way I'm getting it from Flex is that um the whole marriage license thing, I think that Well, it sounds like this. Like it's more of a piece of paper than anything. Like, for instance, a lot of people don't believe that just because you're married by paper, it is an actual marriage. But the paper is what makes it a marital commitment, because you can actually be married to someone on paper, but you don't have a marriage, if that makes sense.
The paper
It
Is
makes
it
it
makes
about,
legal.
absolute perfect sense.
is it about,
Paper
I
makes it
think that,
legal.
right, it makes the relationship legal. So I think that when people hear this about, hear this concept of making a marriage license renewable, no one can understand, certain people can't understand it or grasp the concept, because in their mind, once you get married, it's forever. It shouldn't be a thing of the marriage certificate being renewable. But in reality, um, all the marriage license does is make the relationship legal. But there's so many people that's legally married, but they don't have a marriage. So I think that, in my opinion, for that's another reason why I think it's a good idea to make a marriage certificate renewable, or have an expiration date on it. Because, like I said, I mean, at the end of the day, people change. Although you go into a marriage and everything is blissful and you're happy and you're feeling like it's going to be forever, and we're going to make sure that we stick beside each other, and we're going to make sure that nothing break us and this and that, but things happen.
That's true, but do you really need an expiration date, or you could just go and file for your divorce?
Yeah, but how many people really do that? And they stay married for 30 years, and then next thing you know, they stay in this marital legal commitment for 20, 30 years, but within the 20, 30 years, no one is taking the initiative to get a divorce. I'm not saying everyone, because some people do actually, say, you know what, bump this. I'm tired of this. I'm filing for a divorce, and they actually do it and they go through with it. But I know a lot of cases where people don't. They say it, they say it, they say it, and they don't do it. So
Why? Like, the reason why they would even say something like that and just not carry out.
say
Because
that
who's to
again.
say? I didn't hear you.
I didn't. What you said? The reason why? What?
The reason why they would even say, I'm going to get this divorce, I'm going to get this divorce, and then just don't carry out the act. What's to say that license, but well, okay, I get what you're saying. The marriage license expire. You don't even have to go through all that headache
Yeah.
of, and I guess for me, it's like it expires, you choose not to renew it. Then aftermath, what happens after that? Legally, you're not married, but you may still have things together in that marriage.
You
What happens
dissolve
then?
it the same way you do if we get a divorce. You just dissolve it. I mean, hopefully it's amicable, and the two parties involved are mature enough to say, okay, we're going to sell the house and split the assets, or you're going to stay in the house with the kids, or like whatever.
I agree, Womack. I don't feel like they want the divorce, but I mean, that was a perfect example. They stayed for the kids. So who's to say,
Mhm.
let's not just renew this? Let's not renew this marriage license. Just do this for the kid.
Some people do that too.
Huh.
Some people do that too. I mean, I don't know.
Yes, someone on the panel is married.
Mhm.
Uh, Flex is married.
Yeah, Flex is married.
Uh, uh, the T asks if anyone in the panel is married or have been married. Her husband wants to know. He's listening.
Yeah, tell him I am.
Yeah.
So
So,
tell him
I
I've
think
been with my wife for 2 decades.
The married one is the one who came up with the concept of the expiration date on the marriage license.
But
But like
remember,
I
he
like I
said
said,
he thought
hold on.
about this when he was in college. He said
Let
he
me
thought
say
about
this
this when he was.
again. Let me say this again. That concept was birthed in 1997, 98. So this is before I met my wife, before I had kids, all that stuff.
The 1997, 98. That's some decades.
I
He said
just
he was
yeah
in college when he thought of
Yeah.
this.
yeah. So my point has always been at that time frame in my mind. It was like we know it's not technically forever because you can technically get a divorce. Okay, let's be realistic.
You
So
can
why not?
technically get a divorce.
Yes. So well, you can actually get divorced, not even technically. But my point always has been when I've watched my family purchase vehicles, purchase businesses, purchase homes, it's a lot of work, paperwork up front.
It is.
But
It
for
is.
you, all you got to do is go down to the justice of the peace and say, "Hey, I love this person," and that's it.
The T asks, how does your spouse feel about that expiration date concept?
Um, she probably wouldn't. She no person. I don't think. I don't think. Actually, I never asked her. I
I
don't.
need
I
to
don't
stop
really
reading
bring it
these.
up because every time that I brought it up in the past, right? Every time I brought it up in the past, it's always like that's stupid.
Oh, so
So
she
you
That's
don't
have
even
brought
know
it up
you
to
think.
her.
She don't
no,
even know
no,
you
no,
think
no, no,
like
no, no,
this.
no, no, no. Not to her. Not to her. Just to people that I talk to in general. So
She don't even know
imagine.
you thinking like this.
So
No, I'm
the
very.
T, she doesn't
I'm
feel any type of way because she doesn't know. He hasn't brought up the
Well,
concept.
it doesn't. That doesn't. It doesn't matter necessarily to me or her because we're not in that realm. I'm talking about our kids,
Gotcha.
right? We all. Some of us have kids on the panel. Some of us are, haven't had kids yet. So I'm talking about for them, not for people who are already invested into the institution.
Oh, so you're saying like in the future, like for
Of
people that
course, of course, of course.
Do you feel that way because you feel like people are, and I guess this can answer Chris' question because like people are getting married for the wrong reasons now?
What's that?
Do you feel like people are getting married for the wrong reasons now? Because Chris
What's
asked, why get married then?
what's the wrong reasons?
Huh?
What's the wrong reasons?
I mean, it could be so many. I guess sex
Give me
or
two wrong. Give me two. Anybody in the chat right now, give me two wrong reasons.
I mean, I don't think I think that whatever reason people choose to get married, it's right for them.
I like that. Now, is it right for? And I'll say this because I knew a couple and they're divorced now. One got married for money and stability, and the other
Good.
person got
Tamika
married for
said.
love.
So
Tamika
was
said
that
we're leasing
wrong?
spouses now.
Was that wrong?
You know what? I don't think it was wrong on both ends, but to me, I kind of sided with the person who got married for love because I felt bad for him because it's like he really did love his wife and she just wasn't with it. Like she just wanted to be taken care of. She wanted the finer things in life. And
All right. So the T says the wedding, the ring, the title, all the wrong reasons. To a degree, I agree with you because
um
people will spend 20, 30 grand on their wedding instead of investing into like a home for 20 and 30 grand. That's more
Mm-hmm.
beneficial towards the family unit than the actual, the bride. Let's be realistic. The
So
wedding, the
I
ring,
agree.
most of that's beneficial to the bride.
I agree with that. What here for the T says as well. But is that our opinions that it's for the wrong reason, or is it actually for the wrong reasons?
it could I think it's our opinions, people who choose to get married for those reasons. Like um Chris says money, sex, and entitlement. If you meet two people that's, hey, I just for somebody who's gonna give me great sex and who can take care of me, and both of them agree on that, that's their marriage. We may look at it as that's toxic as hell,
Yeah,
but it works for them.
it works for them.
So money
Yeah.
is what? Money equates to what? Stability, right?
Mika said
Yes.
Is that
convenience, status, and
is that
stability is
true?
the wrong reasons.
Stability is
Stability.
not stability is not a wrong reason to
I
get
don't think
married.
that's the
Please
wrong
stop.
reason either.
Please stop. No, it's
That's
not.
her
No,
opinion, though. That's her opinion.
but yeah, that's her
Convenience,
opinion.
convenience is that. Yeah, that makes sense. Um,
Status. I
Getting married
agree.
for a
I think some
ring,
people do go into marriage just with the status of being a wife and don't know what they're really walking into.
they don't
What
know it's
about
actually
men?
work.
But what about men? Do men go into marriage for the status of being a husband? Why is it?
No,
Do you,
I don't think so.
no.
I agree that marriage is mostly for the women. I don't, and correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think men benefits as much off of the marriage as a woman do.
Hmm.
Maybe. I
I
don't
don't
know.
agree with
Y'all
that.
tell me.
I
Women
don't
in
agree with that.
chat, tell me if
I
I'm
don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I
you
don't
don't
agree
agree
with
with
that.
that?
Nope, don't agree with that.
Okay, guys, listen. We got off of the subject. I think that the first topic that we spoke about, it was a really good topic. We all have different opinions on it, and like I said when I started out the live, that's just what it is, an opinion. None of it
T
is
said
fact.
no men care about being a husband.
I know I was just playing devil's advocate, trying to, make
Uh,
some, bring some thought provoking stuff going on this panel right now. That's it. That's all I'm doing. No, I'm just, trying to
I
spruce
just
it
hope
up a
it
little
don't
bit.
start no arguments. People bring this to their wives and their husbands, like, we should just get an expiration date on our marriage. And
Listen,
But
it's how you present it.
present it, yeah.
Maybe my terminology is not how you want to use, but I think
Hmm.
how you present it. The main point of this is that you do all of the brunt work up front, not in the end.
Hmm.
That's
I
the
agree.
problem with a lot of things. People they go through divorce and they go through paperwork, lawyers, all kind of nonsense in the end. Do all that negotiating up front.
Hmm.
Then you really decide if you really want to commit that much time, energy, love, blood, sweat, and tears into that. Seriously.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's close on that point right there.
Yeah, we're gonna, but just to respond to King Harlem, money is a big key factor in the marriage. He said, money shouldn't be an issue in marriage.
It's bigger than love,
It's yeah,
Yeah,
believe
it's
it or
in my
not.
it's one of
opinion,
the
I
main
think
reasons
money.
for a divorce,
And that's not my opinion.
and that's facts.
Yeah.
That's just facts. It's bigger
Yeah.
than love.
So
But let's go to the next topic, and the next topic was Cleon. Could you read the title of the next topic? Because I'm using my phone and I can't get to it. Do you see it in the chat that we had together?
Let's see. Hold on. I think the next
probably
topic
could
was basically can
I could
someone who
pull it
is
up.
single give a married person or a person who's been in a long-term
Uh
relationship advice? And also, is someone who's been,
without
yeah,
expiration do you qualify?
without, right,
Experience.
experience, right?
Yes, I'm sorry. Without experience do you qualify?
Right. So that was the question. Without experience, do you qualify? And basically, what we want to discuss here is um, if you are a married couple who's young in your marriage, let's say that you were married for 5 years and you and your wife are having trouble in the marriage, do you go to another married couple um, who has only been married for 1 year for advice? Or do you go to a married couple who's been married for 20 years for advice? Or do you go to a single person for advice? Does a person have to have some sort of experience or long-term experience in order to give you any type of advice on marriage when you're having trouble with your spouse? So that's the next topic.
Let me just put this out there one time.
Mhm.
I don't talk to anybody that does not have less than 15 years experience with
Less
a
than
person.
50.
15.
15.
15. Okay,
Yep.
1 5.
So
Don't
why
I
did you
don't
choose? Why did you choose the number 15?
um because I got 20. So
Mm.
I'm not going lower than that.
So
Uh,
Flex, let me ask you this. Do married for 15 years? Let's say they was in a relationship for that length of a time. Like,
No, that's what I said because there are people that are there are people that are what do they call that again?
Domestic partners.
No, that's not the term. Oh my God, I forgot the term. But people have been together that long without actually being married. My point is, you live and breathe in the same home, same bedroom, same environment. It's a little different than if you you have your own place and they have their own place, and you come and see each other every once in a while. That's a little different than being in somebody's
Space.
face. Like, hey,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's a bit different, you know.
So
I
you
don't believe you have
so a
to have
couple
been.
so a
Yeah,
couple that's
Tamika's.
been together for 15 years and they don't live together, you wouldn't speak to them about, you wouldn't get advice from them either.
I wouldn't either.
No, it's hard. It's hard to me to take them
Hmm.
You're
seriously.
saying a couple, like somebody who's been in a relationship with one another for 15 years and they don't live under the same roof?
Right. Is that what you're saying,
All right.
Lex?
Tamika says, I don't believe you have to have been married to experience marriage. That makes no sense to me. Please
Well, that's
elaborate on what
exact.
you just said.
I think that what she's saying is exactly what you
Is
said
what you're
when you
saying. Yeah,
said
that's what I'm getting from it.
two people that live in the same house for 15 years, but they're not legally married. That's a marriage.
Okay, if that's what she's trying to say, then I do get it. Okay.
Yeah.
That statement
Yeah.
just threw me all the way off.
But I know in some African cultures, when the when people are experiencing turmoil or whatever in their marriage, they go to the elders in the family. They're not quick to run to divorce court. They're not quick to run to their peers. They're not quick to run to the church. They go to the elders in the family, and not just the elders alone, but it's like a whole family meeting where they talk to the couple that's having the trouble. And I think that's where the problem is. We don't have enough of a support system um, when it comes to talking to people about the troubles that you're having in your marriage. A lot of times people, they go to people, some people they'll go to even if they've been um, in a long relationship or a marriage and they're not giving good sound advice. So I think that the support system is like we're lacking a support system when it comes to keeping the families together.
Chris, I think you're missing what Flex mentioned. Nobody's controlling the marriage. It's just um an opinion, like we stated in the beginning. All
Hmm.
of this is just an opinion. I could come to you and tell you something about your wife. You don't have to listen to me. It's just my
Hmm.
opinion. The will you do you agree that somebody should advise or can give advice when they don't have that experience themselves? Correct me if
I
I'm
think
wrong.
I saw here for the T say neither. So here for the T, are you trying to say that you're not going to anyone about your marital problems? I think that's what I saw
And
her
if
say.
you don't, yeah, if you're saying neither, why? Why don't you? Because I think that goes back to what you're saying, like, have it. But why? Why do we not have that support system anymore?
Yeah, where's that support system? Where are those people that is going to encourage you to work through your problems and stay together? Where are those people?
I
But
think
then,
if the fear of being judged, um, embarrassed, they're embarrassed.
absolutely.
Some
Facts.
that could be a key factor. If so you're having problems or issues in your marriage, you don't want to go or anything like that because you don't know if they're gonna gossip and tell the sister, the cousin, happen with or just somebody just judging you and talking down with that. So some people just stay in that. She said,
Yeah.
"No, ma'am. God and a counselor, family and friends are two bodies." What we're saying.
What
That's
Yuri?
Oh, okay, Yuri. You on a different way. Okay, you a whole mood out here.
Mhm. He wants you to tag team us and get us off this panel,
Yuri
Flex.
is on.
I
Yuri is
mean, it'd be
straight
hard to
trolling
tag
right
team
now.
because sometimes I agree with Flex on a lot of topics. So
Yuri's straight trolling right now.
Yeah,
But
you
let me
trolling.
see. King Harlem says someone can be extremely educated on the topic. Reading does a lot. And the T says older people can be messy. And no, ma'am, God and a counselor. All right, so I'm gonna say this. I come from a big family, and I definitely would go to my uncles for advice, or my father, before I go to a counselor, because I've watched them go through their marriage, and I think I'll be more comfortable asking them questions about relationships or things of that nature. And I think they would have enough respect that they would understand that I'm coming for them for, for help, and they'd be
Hmm.
willing to assist without it being quote unquote messy. Not everything has to be messy.
Yeah.
Not everybody lives in that realm of gossip, messy, bullshit, whatever the case may be.
Hmm.
Um, you just have to have that kind of you got to have that kind of foundation that you can do that, because
Hmm.
you can go to a marriage counselor also, but then you got to question, what do they know? Are they married?
Hmm.
gonna
Things of that
ask you
nature.
that question next, Flex. Do you prefer, like you said, your older relatives, or do you prefer a counselor?
No, I have enough older relatives in my family that are wise that I would seek their counsel more than other technical professionals.
And that
Um,
that that speaks volumes. That means that you trust them, and you value their opinions
you have to
and the
though. That's the
wisdom
first thing,
and the
right?
wisdom. So, like for me, if I was married, I could honestly say that I don't have anyone that I could think of, an elder in my family that's married, that I feel like I could go to and they would give me some wise counsel. I can't think of it right now. I can't think of anyone.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it would have been my grandmother if she was still alive, but other than that, maybe my oldest aunt, but other than that, I can't think. Because you have to think of somebody, mention like, your friends and family can be too biased. You have to think of somebody who's not biased, who can actually give you sound advice from a genuine place and not off of judging you or just being controlling or, in that sense. So I
Hmm.
think it
Or
goes
even
back to,
worse, or even worse, coddling. That's even worse to me.
yep,
What you say?
yeah,
Coddling.
Mm,
Somebody not giving to you straight. Somebody that can't tell you, yo, you fucking up, man. Straight
right.
up.
Giving it to
Like
you straight.
it's on you.
You need it straight with no chaser.
Facts. But not everybody can take that.
Chris
Hmm.
said I would go to my pastor and the first lady, but no one in my family. So I guess it depends on how your family is just really set up.
Yeah,
That's
and that's
true.
what I'm
That's
saying.
that's true. Very true.
Most of us don't have that support when it comes to this type of situation.
That's a great point, Chris.
So let me ask y'all that, staying on the general kids.
Say that again.
What about when it comes to, and I don't want to, let me know if we need to stay on this topic, but what do you feel like somebody who does not have kids give you advice on, or can give somebody advice about kids who has kids? So,
That's
I know
definitely on
Flex.
topic because that's saying someone without experience giving you advice on kids. That's on topic.
Hell no.
Why? See, I think this is where me and Flex disagree. Why?
Hell no. Shut your ass up. Keep moving.
Nobody has okay, so here's my thing on that, because I think in one of our debates, you don't become a parent doesn't mean you have all the answers.
Mm-hmm.
Point in time, because I don't have kids. So Flex,
Mm-hmm.
you were just like me at one
Mm-hmm.
children
And guess what I
whatsoever.
did? And guess what I did? Guess what I
You had
did?
kids.
Guess what I did?
What did you do?
I shut my damn mouth. When it
Correct. But
comes to
when you
things I
did
know
have
nothing
kids, what
about, I
what
shut my
made
mouth.
you the know all, or
Mm.
what gave you like, well, I have kids, so I'm right and I find Z.
No, it's not about me being right. What what it's about experience.
I
Now you have the
Experience,
experience.
you gain that over time. So just because
I
somebody does not have children, don't go ahead. I want to hear this.
All right, let me ask you a question.
I agree with Sam on this one.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Let me give you a scenario. I'm big on scenarios. Would you take advice from a mother of 5 or a teacher that doesn't have kids but has been teaching for 20 years? Who would you take advice faster from regarding children?
I don't think I would choose one over the other because technically they both have experience with
Oh,
kids.
pick one,
I
But
Sam.
agree
they
with
both
that.
have different
I can't
experience
make a
with
choice.
kids.
I
You
can't
have a
make a choice.
parent and then you have 2 different experience with
I'm
children.
gonna need the 2 of y'all to get off the fence, please.
I'm not on the fence, Flex. I'm being
Stop
as
fence,
real and honest as I
stop
can be.
fence
I can't pick one
sitting
over the
and
other. I
pick
can't.
one. You can't stay on the fence all night.
Well, you know
You
what?
gotta pick
Okay,
left or right.
if I had to pick one, I would
If you
pick the
had to
mother.
pick one,
I would pick the mother of 5.
why is
And
that?
the reason why I would pick the mother of 5 is because she's living with these children day in and day out. You know, the teacher who has the 20 years of experience with teaching children, yeah, she got experience with children, but
But
she
she don't
sent
live
those
with them.
kids home. She don't live with them. She didn't have to go through all the different trials and tribulations that
Exactly.
a mom would have to
But
go through,
So
you know,
if you ask
she
me,
day
spends
in and
eight
day out.
hours with these children 7 days, 5 days a week for 20.
thank you, the
You
T.
can't
Thank you, the
discredit her
T.
experience.
Thank you, the T. The T
But
says you're not
but
gonna love your students like you love your kids. Yes,
that's
thank
a
you very
fact.
much.
That
But
is true.
I still think that a person without children can give advice on children, like a situation with your child based on different things that they may have experienced with children in general, because I may not have any children, but I have nieces and nephews that I mothered. Like, I feel like your nieces and your nephews are the closest things to being your child. And I think that if you know how the mind of children work in general, and versus an adult, you can definitely give some advice on certain things when it comes to your child.
Or not even that. Even, what we experienced when we was children with our parents. So I don't think, you could discredit one person like, oh, well, I'm not going to take advice from you because you don't have any kids. I mean, you can't say that.
Right.
What happened to the statement, it takes a village?
Yeah.
Do we pick and choose when that comes into play? Because we could say it takes a village to raise these kids
We
because you
just
don't have
got
no
to agree
kids.
to disagree.
Yeah.
Cleon, listen.
um,
I know I know what you want to say right now. I can see it all over your face. You're trying to be nice for the chat, but I know
no,
what
no,
He is.
no,
He
no.
is.
I'm
I
not
know
trying
what
to
you
be
want to say
nice.
right now.
I'm not trying to be nice.
You want to say y'all sound stupid.
Like
That's
a
exactly what he wants to say.
mug.
That's exactly what he wants to say.
Chris, that's what's
Yep,
up.
you
Chris,
know
that's
him.
what's up. The moms with the 5 for sure. There's a different element of being with kids 24/7 as opposed to you get out at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and go home. It's a different kind of beast. Sorry. So, and I only learned that after I had children.
I think everybody experience is different. But and exactly, Tamika. Look what Tamika said.
I think Tamika's talking about when you said something about it takes a village. We don't have that no more.
We
Yeah, we
don't, but
can't.
those days were very brutal. Like you get in trouble with one
But we
person
needed that. We needed that. We needed
and
that.
but that's where you see the difference in generations. Let me tell you something. I remember just growing up, I couldn't question. My mom would tell me something. I can't question her. I can't debate her. I can't, that's determined as disrespectful. And that follows with the backhand slap.
Right.
Now I see kids cursing their parents out, And not just, before we used to say, oh, it's just white kids that no, it's all kids nowadays that do
Yeah,
that.
all kids is doing it. They
All of them.
all
Cursing
definitely
them
doing
out, fight. Some people raise their hand to their mom.
it.
But you know what? We're not going to listen to the people who don't have kids, right? Because they don't know nothing that they're talking about. Even though we was on that it takes a village type phase, right, Flex?
Mm.
We don't
It's
have to listen to them because they don't know what they're talking about.
to me, it's just a lot of hubris for somebody that don't have kids to want to tell you something about something they don't know nothing about. That's all.
You can't say that. You can't say they don't
That's
know nothing
all.
about it. Come on now.
Because
That's
they
like
know
me
about
go.
kids.
That's like me going to the firehouse. Be like, hey, listen, you might want to use the 115 hose for that kind of fire. And he'd be like, yo, you're a firefighter. I'm like, nah, I just watch a lot of firefighter shows.
That's different.
Flex,
Same
I
shit.
think that's far fetched
Nah,
because
it's the
that's
same
like
shit.
if somebody take their
That's
baby to me and be
different.
like, hey, can you change this diaper? Oh no, I can't give you my child because you don't have to change the diaper. Come on now. That
You
was
didn't
very
change.
far fetched.
You don't have to have kids to know how to change a diaper. Because I'm
Thank you.
sure
So I don't
Sam,
like that analogy. That
Sam,
analogy was kind of weak.
That's
Sam,
pretty much what you're saying.
Sam, you've changed diapers before, so because you've changed diapers before, you qualify to change that person's diaper. And the same way you qualify to change that person's child's diaper, Sam would also qualify to give you some advice on something that you may need to do or not do with your child.
That's
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying. Because you have to understand, even I get what you're saying that we don't experience parenthood the way you guys would because I don't have kids. You have to understand that even with that, I'm looking from an outside perspective at a
Mm-hmm.
parent and a child relationship where I can give some may not see or the child may not see because I'm that third party looking in.
So let me ask you a question. Does your outside perspective have more
I knew he was gonna say that.
what's the word?
I
What's
know
the
where
word
it's
I'm looking
going.
for? Does your outside perspective have more bearing than the inside perspective?
Why does it have to have more bearing just
Can
to
you
give an
answer my
opinion?
question? Not answer my question with a question, please. I beg you.
You
I
know the
beg.
answer to that. You know it doesn't.
Man, I know nothing at all. I just want you to answer the question, my youth. Please. I
Now
beg
I
you,
go
Because it
just
into
discredits
answer
somebody's
my
advice.
question.
they want to know your age, Flex.
100.
100.
Going 76.
Do the math.
Yeah, do the
That's
math.
like, but see that you could have just say the age. Now they got to sit there. Okay, yeah, okay. This he didn't say
It's a
the age.
different. It's what Chris is saying. It's a different animal,
Oh,
man. Listen, like I
I
said, I
don't.
thought I knew some stuff when I was growing up and I didn't have kids. But when I actually
Look
had
at what
kids,
Maurice said. That's all we saying.
my whole mindset changed.
Mm-hmm. As it should.
Okay, and King Harlem,
What
why
did
do you?
what did Tamika? Hold up, Tamika. What did you know? She said, "I knew it. I knew it." So now Tamika has to give her age since I gracefully gave mine.
Well,
um, yeah, King Harlem, please give me your children are lost now.
he said, what did he say? His children are lost.
We
He
said
said his
children
children are
now are
adults
lost.
now, but these kids today are
Children
different.
are
Pretty much,
lost
that's what
now.
he's saying.
It was different. These children are
Yeah,
lost now.
he's basically saying there's no structure now. They get to do
Mm-hmm.
whatever they want, and that's what society is training them to do.
These
Do
children
whatever
are
they want, say
definitely
whatever they want.
they're definitely different today, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that there's no more brutal village.
We.
I don't like that word. Sorry, I'm sorry. I don't like that brutal word.
Well,
The
there's no
word I think I like better is discipline,
discipline.
order,
There's no
Okay.
more
discipline and order.
village.
Because I mean nowadays you can't say something to somebody. At one point you hear down the street that this person got in trouble, the whole neighborhood is gonna get on your child. Now it's like, oh, don't talk to
Say
my
something to
child,
my
don't say
kids.
nothing to my child,
Mm-hmm.
don't you know. I went to a football game a couple weeks ago and I mean, these are like 10-year-olds. And, he got upset. He dropped the ball and he cussed that coach out to the
Mm.
point where, like, they're back and forth going in. And, like, I would think the mom
Who cursed the
would,
kid? Who cursed the coach out?
huh?
Who cursed the coach
The
out?
kid, the 10-year-old kid, he cursed his coach out. So his coach told him to take off his, yeah, and he threw a tantrum. He threw a
Mm.
tantrum. He dropped the ball. And, the coach was like, take the cleats off, take everything off. And he took it off and threw it in the coach's face.
That's
And the
terrible.
mom came and she cussed that coach out.
Cuss the coach out.
Because she said, you didn't yell at no other kids like that, but you're yelling
Facts,
at my
Chris.
son like this. And she
That's big
cussed that
facts,
coach out so
Chris.
bad.
That's
And she
crazy.
was wrong. And she was wrong for that. And that's the
That's two
problem
left
right
feet.
there.
That's two left
That's the
feet.
problem right there. That
That's
mother
two
was
left feet.
totally wrong for that. Yep.
That's
I
two left
was
feet.
I was
All
in
she's
shock.
doing is encouraging the other kids to do the same nonsense and disrespect that coach.
And she's encouraging her son to be disrespectful to an adult.
He's not gonna, because he cursed her out too, because he was mad.
Mm, 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 mm.
But I mean,
I don't know what happened in that situation, but coaches yell at kids.
no, he did yell. I mean, he was yelling at the kid, but that's why the mom got upset.
He's supposed to yell at the kids. That's
That's
cursing.
what I'm saying. That's what coaches do.
might
They
even-
yell at the kids.
He might even yell at him for dropping the ball. To be honest with you.
Mm.
What I heard, he kept saying, "This is not Madden. Hold on to the damn ball." That's what he just kept
Facts.
saying over and over
Facts.
again.
Right.
Because
Hold on to the ball.
hold on to the ball. And of course, he got mad. He didn't want to be yelled at, so that's what he did. But instead of the mom pulling up her son, like, "Hello, you don't talk to no child, no adult like that," she went off on him. You yelling at my kid like that? You don't yell at no other kids like that. And I mean, it just was a big back and forth. It was embarrassing. It was very distasteful, and it was cringe to watch something like that.
Chris, that's a whole nother show right there. What you talking about on that comment? He said children are lost because there are no fathers in the house, especially young black men. That is so true. But that's a whole nother show. A lot of things that you guys are saying in the chat is very valid. You're making a lot of valid, good points. But we're gonna have to do that on a whole nother show.
Hold on, I gotta read this real quick. I'm sorry. Hold on.
That,
Hold on. I'm sorry. Hold on. What?
From Snuggles?
Yeah.
Yeah, read that to me because I'm not understanding that one.
I think the mother did the right thing in making sure her son becomes what people do not want to be around. My sets like the help, the school to prison pipeline. I'm not sure what I'm reading right now. Sorry.
Is he referring to the example that I used?
I think that's what he's referring to.
He or she?
That sentence might warrant some punctuation to help us out with that. I don't know how to decipher that one. The problem is you're having women in places where they should not be when it comes to men raising young boys. Now that sentence is 100% facts by the Snuggle Soft lady. I'm assuming it's a lady. Because that's what I don't know who said it. I think it was Chris or the King or the King said something about having discipline and order that comes from having the father around. It's very necessary.
Definitely.
It's very, very necessary. This is why putting them into certain sports, organized sports, helps them if they don't have, even if they do have a father around. I put my kid in football just so I could watch the coach yell at him instead of me doing it. Because he got so numb to me doing it. But I see how he reacted and other kids around him also reacted to being yelled at for doing something bad. So it was an interesting dynamic.
Like I said, that's what coaches do. They yell at the kids. I mean, I've been seeing coaches do this for eons. I mean, we watch it on movies. We watch it, I mean, I've seen it when my son played organized basketball. The coach yelled at the kids. We as parents can't be getting all in our feelings because the coach is yelling at our kid.
Now, just to pull back on the topic, that situation that I gave, Flex, do you feel like I don't have any right, or I don't have an opinion on a situation like that because I don't have kids?
Well, that wasn't his kid, so you're really stretching.
No, no, I'm talking about the mom.
In terms of what?
Telling her that she was wrong for letting her child disrespect another adult, telling her that she needs to discipline her child and not have him talk to her like that as well.
Yeah, that's not your place.
What?
That's not your place. That's a conversation between the mother and the coach. The coach
Even
got to.
though, even
The coach. Let me
okay,
finish. Let me finish. Let me finish. The coach got to pull up the moms and say, "Listen, I'm over here trying to get your son to play organized ball that will benefit him for a lifetime. This discipline, this organization will benefit him from a long time. You're not helping. Not only are you not helping him, you're actually encouraging the other kids to do whatever they want to. And this is not what this sport is about. They have to be they have to be all in one. 11 dudes on the field at all times and have one purpose. You're not helping that. And if he can, because I can't talk to her as her ignorance, but if he can try to explain to her how what she did is not helping. That's all he can do is try. I'm not saying it's going to work. I'm saying that he needs to pull her up. I wouldn't encourage any other person to say anything to the mother because at the end of the day, that's her kid. And parents always try to do what they think is best for their kid unless somebody educates them and tell them that, sis, listen, that wasn't a good move. That wasn't a good chess move. That might be a good checkers move, but that's not a good chess move long term. Four or five steps down the line, it's not going to benefit your son. So,
I
but I
think
wouldn't
that
suggest
goes,
somebody else. I wouldn't suggest somebody else doing it to her. No.
so that goes back to what I was saying in that sense of a third party looking in who could give some sound and logical advice to three people that were not being rational, that was operating off of basic emotions:
Who was the three?
the son, the coach, and the mother.
The coach wasn't. No, I'm pretty sure the coach wasn't acting irrational.
No, he was, because he when the mother started cursing at him,
Mhm.
he went off on her.
That's irrational. That was he was being rational.
What you said, the example that you said,
Hmm.
screaming and no, that, because when somebody's already up and screaming at them is going to make the situation itself worse.
If he would have stood there and not responded to her, he potentially could have lost the respect of all them kids under his tutelage. You understand what
Hmm,
I'm saying?
I don't think so.
no.
Okay. I'm glad y'all don't think so. I'm telling you that I'm actually, as a boy, when I was a boy playing organized sports, I witnessed these things. And yes, when you're looking at somebody getting at your coach and your coach don't respond back, you look at your coach funny. Sorry, that's just the reality. So he has to respond to her. He can't just be like, yes, ma'am, and keep moving. He will lose the respect of those boys.
I don't think that should have been his response, like, yes, man, or what. I mean, because pretty much he did kick the kid off the team, right? That's why
As
the
he
kid
should.
took his
That's fine.
uniform off and everything and threw it at the coach. So
Right.
that's where the screaming match between the mother and the son came into place after he disrespected the coach over and over again and his mother. So now both of them are upset because the coach is embarrassed. He just had a uniform and his cleats and whatever you call the Under Armour stuff at him. So he's in a yelling match between the mom because instead of, which shocked everybody in the stadium, you're yelling at the coach instead of yelling at your son. And now the coach, I'm pretty sure, is embarrassed. So now he's yelling back at the mom. I don't think a logical conversation could have happened from right then and there. But if she did have a friend with her, or if she did have somebody by her side who could have pulled her up and say, hey, check yourself. You're saying that it wouldn't be somebody's place to do that?
I'm
I
saying
don't
that
think.
in terms of her child, and I'm not really specific. It's not. I'm not really being specific with her. Parents parents have a very blind eye to their own children. Okay,
So you don't think an
so
outside party can help them with that?
no,
Huh.
Well,
no.
it wasn't a controlled environment, but my thoughts on this is I don't think that the coach was wrong for yelling back at the mom, but I also don't think that I don't agree that if he didn't yell back at the mom, in my opinion, that the children on the team would have lost respect for the coach. But I definitely don't think that the coach was wrong for yelling back at the mom. First of all, you got an irate kid yelling at you, throwing stuff at you. Then you got an irate mom coming at you. Come on, who's going to stand there and let this lady just yell at them because she's a woman? Like, lady, if you don't get out of my face,
A
Nah,
natural
you and your
reaction is
son,
only so much
he
somebody can
you
take.
you and your
yeah
son, get up out of here.
That's
he
exactly
runs
what you
he
said.
runs the risk.
And
So
he was very right for you and your son.
right,
Get the freak off of my field. Get out of here right now.
you're talking about maybe 20 plus kids. You can't let one kid influence the whole bunch. So he had to react or respond to that mother. So I mean, point blank, period. And like I said, I've seen this firsthand. I've seen this firsthand. Anytime I went to my kids' practice and I seen the coach yelling at him, I laughed my ass off. I'll be honest. I'll be on the sidelines laughing my ass off because one, he should know better, and two, the coach is not going to relent his control because one kid is having a fit. Because then
Mhm.
he can lose all the other 20 plus kids just
I
from them
agree.
watching that kid.
I I I agree. I agree. I could see that as an example, like from a child, from a little kid standpoint, like, oh, well, he cursed you out, and you kind of let that ride, but you coming at me side. Well, kids do stuff like that, but I think it's crazy that you don't feel like somebody should say something to her about that.
No, not that. Here's what I feel. Before I say that, yo, Chris, shout out to your pops.
Yes.
What I'm saying is that it's from what I've seen for myself. It's very hard to be a. It's very hard to have a rational conversation with someone who's being irrational. I don't care if you're
Mhm.
close to them or not. It's hard to bring them down. It's hard
You got to
to
match their energy.
diffuse, right,
Okay, so what
right.
about if it's somebody they respect?
That who respect.
You gotta
Like if
understand.
you're at,
You're talking
like you
about
said.
them. You're talking about them respecting the person in a normal mindset, normal state of mind.
Mhm.
We're talking about the irrational state of mind. That's a different animal entirely. It's hard to really get somebody down. That's why you see a lot of people when they get into that mindset, it don't matter who's around them. They just see red and they just want to go. That's it. It's hard.
Mhm.
And then
And
meanwhile on the other end, yeah, on the
after
other
she
end,
calms down to where she comes to a rational point, you still think nobody should approach her friend, should approach her and say something to her about that?
I'm sure a friend, another parent could approach her, but not in that state.
No, I don't agree anybody should, but that's what I was saying. Like nobody can have a logical conversation with three people with being irate and just being like pissed off and angry and just going on.
You
Nobody
you
could
keep
have at
saying
that
three
moment.
people. You keep saying three people. And I'm telling you, the coach in that mind in that frame of mind was in his normal frame of mind. They're already heightened from the game. They have to deal with a lot of
Uh,
things, a lot of moving parts at all times. Yelling in a coach is not something that's like something different from what they used to on a
I don't
day-to-day
think it was the
basis.
yelling. I think I don't. I'm saying I don't think the coach was in his right state of mind because I feel like the coach was embarrassed, and I think because he was embarrassed, he reacted to it. And the reason I'm saying this is because on top of this little boy that's yelling and cursing at him, he threw something in his face and cursed him out behind it.
Who
Then got
did?
the support of his mother
And
behind
again,
it. That's
that
embarrassing.
that coach was
He was right,
he
but
was
I,
that's a
I
definitely
would
reaction.
I would
he was
say I would
definitely
say he was
right.
probably more disappointed and embarrassed, to be honest with you.
Yeah, he
But that's what
was
I'm saying.
pissed off. Like that's a
That's
reason to be
embarrassing
pissed.
as hell. So he
That's
I would say
reacted
that
to
interesting.
that.
he was more disappointed because, mind you, before these kids come out and play in like competition games, they have scrimmages, they have training, um they have spring training and stuff. So all that stuff all that energy and all that emotional stuff, they kind of try to weed that out of them before they even get to a game where they compete with other people that's trying to knock their head off. Because
Mhm,
if every time you got hit, you took it personal, the game would be over. You got to learn to take your
mhm.
licks, brush it off, get up, get back in the huddle, and get to the next play. So that's, to me, that's what I'm saying. To him, it's probably more disappointing that, okay, you trained this little kid for so long, and look what happened when it came down to like a pressure moment,
Right.
dropping the ball. Okay,
Mhm.
so they expect that from the kids. They don't expect that shit from the parents. The mother should have shut her mouth and let the coach deal with the son, deal with the kid.
Yes.
But she
Or
escalated the situation.
dealt with her kid. I think she should have dealt with her kid. That's my opinion. But
Uh, the
yeah,
T, I agree with you 100%. I don't think he's used to any form of discipline the way he carried on.
yeah, yeah. But guys,
Nah, I don't agree with that. If he's playing in a game, if he's playing in that game, that means that he's a starter on either offense or defense, which means that he had to go through a training session and he had to beat out other kids to play that position to start in that game. He's been trained. He may have had a brain fart or he may not have remembered his
mhm,
training, but he definitely has been trained. If he's starting in a position, either offense or defense, you beat out other kids to play in that position. He just had and kids. This happens to kids. I've seen a bunch of kids cry crazy after they lost playoff games. Like they in the huddle crying, and the coach had to tell them like, "Yo, keep your head up. We're not here to cry. You didn't have a bad season. You just didn't perform what you're supposed to do. That don't mean you did bad. That's encouraging words. But you still get
mhm,
the other side of it too. When you mess up, you're gonna get the brunt of it. I'm not gonna
mhm,
coddle you. I'm not gonna, oh, you should have caught that. That's a good attempt. No. Keep your head, keep your eyes on the ball and secure the ball. It's important. Every play is important. You gotta learn how to take that little, you know, bruntness from your coach who's actually trying to make you a better person, better player.
yeah,
Go to the sidelines, regroup, get amnesia, come back on the field and do better. That's why the mother should have said nothing. She should have
yeah.
said nothing at all. Let her son take the licks. The coach come to the sideline like, "What the f you doing?" or whatever the coach does. What you doing? I need you in here. Stop playing around. Let's go. And get right back in
Mhm,
the game.
mhm. Yep.
So I mean,
But
that's just my humble opinion, of course.
I think this was a great live, though. What you guys think?
I
Facts,
think it
King.
went pretty
Facts,
well.
King. The
Mhm,
coach is not always going to talk nice, man. Not all coaches are built like that. And I
mhm.
prefer coaches that will get in your ass. To be
Stern.
honest with you. Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
Stern.
I prefer those stern coaches. Me
Yeah.
personally.
But let's wrap it up because we're over our time limit. But I think that this was a great live. Any final thoughts on the topics that we had tonight?
Um,
I'm gonna go try to market my 5 and 10 year plans to see how that goes. Remember, you heard it here
Yeah.
first.
Look, let us know how that went too.
I want to know how the conversation with your wife is going to go with that first.
that that we already in the thick of it. We good. That ain't gonna.
She gonna
Sometimes that
probably
she
look
would
at you like, boy, get out of here.
nah, she would get
Yeah.
mad if I tell my son that.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter that she probably get mad. But
Yeah.
like I said, if you listen
But
to my
but we know
rationality,
that we know that that's not gonna happen anyway. That's just something that, you know,
what's not
you
gonna
think.
happen?
We know that that's not gonna happen. Like, there's no way in the world that that's gonna become a law
Let me tell
where
you why I think it could happen. The government off of that.
the government what?
They can make money off of it.
Yeah, the only way that it could happen is if more people like Mr. Flex over here was rallying for it to put that type of situation in place. But as long as it's just a conversation between us and, you know, the 20 to 30 people that was in this chat tonight, it's not going to happen.
And to answer your question, I do believe she should have.
Say that again.
The question
I
that you
think
just have
it's
highlighted, I do
I do
believe the
believe she
mother
should have
should have been
engaged the
engaged.
kid about throwing the uniform.
Mm.
First of all,
They hell
Tamika,
don't.
we
It don't
asked you
matter.
for your age a while ago. You ain't answered. Second of all, she should do that. She should do that, but not there. Let the coach do his job,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and she can do
Flex
that at
doesn't have a
home.
channel,
Now, Flex don't have a channel.
but this Flex is my boy. This was his idea to come on over here and start the conversation and talk ish with Tish. I appreciate him so much. But I appreciate Sam too. I just met Sam yesterday.
I know. It was nice meeting you as well. And this was a good show. I do like it.
Yeah, I look forward to us doing it again. We're hoping that this will be a thing that we can do on a weekly basis.
Weekly, right?
If not every week, at least every other week, you know, whenever we can do it together, because I already do a live show on Sundays anyway. Tonight is a little bit later than I normally do because of life happening for some of us, and that's fine. But we hope to come here weekly and bring more thought-provoking topics for you guys, and try our best to stay on the topics and stay in the time frame. And we know that it's going to go over, and sometimes the conversation is going to, you know, shift a little bit, whatever. But you
Tamika
know,
said I'm 76 also. Shout out to my 76ers, man.
okay,
That,
it
like
is what
what Jerome said, that was my year.
it is. But thank you, Flex and Sam, for joining the live tonight.
Thank you
Um,
for having me. This was very, very
thank
fun.
you, everybody in the chat, for coming and engaging with us on this conversation that we had
Yeah, shout
tonight.
out to the T, shout out to King, shout out to
Yeah,
Chris,
shout out to
Tamika,
everybody in the chat. Those are my
Everybody.
peoples here for the tea.
Snuggle.
Tamika, Snuggle. Thanks for the super chat, Snuggles. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Snuggle says, I am sorry I came in and talked to you all, and I did not even leave something at the door. Forgive me for my rudeness. I will try not to do it again. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the super chat. And y'all can support the channel also with my Cash App if you want, is $ here with Flair. But anyway, we're gonna end the live now. And real estate, I see you in the chat. I don't know if you was here the whole time, but how you doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're getting ready to go. But again, thank you. Those of you, this is my outro. I gotta do my outro, and then we're gonna get out of here.
All right, salute y'all.
One day, y'all will be able to do the outro with me. So this is how it goes. Those of you that was here with me from the beginning to the end, I appreciate you. Those of you that was here with me from the middle to the end, I appreciate you. And even those of you that came in at the tail end until now, I appreciate you. And you want to know why? Because no matter where you came in at, you took the time out of your busy schedule to spend it with us. And for that reason and that reason alone, we appreciate you for that. So until next time, peace.
Cheers.
Hi. Good night, everyone.